straight, white Christian.
No, Jesse, this is the subscribe thing.
Oh, yeah. I need you all to subscribe, support us on Patreon, like us on Facebook, and follow me on Twitter.
Got it.
There's a lot of issues going on between men and women today. Everybody trying to figure it out. What do we do now? How, when, and where? I have with me GOLDMUND. He's an artist, writer, and photographer. He's the author of a few books, including An Introduction to Camera Game, How to Seduce Women Through Photography. Isn't that interesting? And we have a picture of the book up there. I want to talk to him about dating, masculinity, and spirituality. GOLDMUND, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I totally appreciate it. So you walking down the road one day and you had your camera in your hand and you thought, I can use this to seduce women.
That's pretty much the way it happened. I was actually sitting in my house one day because I used to be a nature photographer.
Oh, okay.
And then I just decided to go out one day and just take street portraits of women. And I thought, why not get their numbers afterwards? And it worked out brilliantly, like way better than I expected.
And so what is so attractive about cameras that would cause women to give you their numbers?
I mean, if you have a camera in your hand, if you have, especially, I'm a big proponent of getting like an actual DSLR, one that you can actually use and you need some skill to use. It sets a great dynamic up right from the beginning because like as the man, you're putting yourself there in the director's role right away. You're telling the girl to make her pose. She's following your instruction right from the get-go.
Right.
And it's just a brilliant way just to start off the proper dynamic between man and women.
And were you surprised to discover this?
I was surprised at how well it worked. And it's getting better and better because pretty much every attractive girl under 30 years old is going to have an Instagram.
Right.
And so every girl I take a photo of, I at least get her Instagram account because she wants her picture on Instagram, whatever. It's just getting easier and easier nowadays.
So is this an ego thing for the women that they love seeing themselves, they love someone taking pictures of them?
Of course. And if you do have some skill, I mean, if you do take a nice photograph, I mean, that's also up to you. But of course, it's an ego thing. It's an ego thing for everybody. Who doesn't want a nice picture of themselves?
And so is this a good way for weak, insecure beta men to get women?
I mean, if they're coming from a real place, because I do love the art of photography. If you're doing anything from a real place, I think it's a great way to meet girls, of course.
And once you meet these women, do you develop a relationship with them? I mean, does it go further than just meeting them?
Oh, that's where the seduction comes in, which I've always been interested in because, you know, ever since I was young, seduction has just been the most fascinating part of psychology for me.
And why is that?
Why? Because sex is the most important thing in the world. So, yeah, the thing, I think the biggest question in my life I've always wanted to answer is like, why do women choose the man they want to sleep with? Like, what is the big turn on for them?
And what's the answer?
Jesus. It's different for every woman, but I mean, if you're an actual man who proves your worth, I mean, that's the most important thing. And is that an artist? Like, I've always been an artist, and women have always been attracted to that.
Right.
Just from the creative side. It's never been like, you know, big alpha strong man, like dominating the room. It's more the creative side that they've always been very, very attracted to.
Amazing. And so you love having sex with different women?
Yeah. What can I say? I don't want to settle down.
And how many women have you had sex with in a lifetime?
I stopped counting after 75, but after adding it up, it's been over 400.
It's been over 400?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in my 30s now, so it's been a while.
And so why do you love sex so much?
Because it feels good. I love sex because it's the greatest feeling in the world.
And so what's wrong with you that you need such good feelings from sex?
What's wrong with me?
Yes.
I like feeling good.
What?
I go out, I party a lot. I was out till 5 in the morning last night. You woke me up early today.
And so when you're not having sex, you're not feeling good?
No, I feel good in other ways. Like I said, through my art is that's where I birth. I call my books and whatever, my photographs, my sculptures, those are my children. That's what I brought into the world as an artist.
So,
and I don't have family because that's going to interfere with my art.
Which make you feel better, your artwork or having sex?
Ooh. In the long run, of course, the artwork, but in the short term, nothing feels better than sex.
Do you plan to get married one day?
No.
Oh, you never plan to get married?
No.
Because,
I really don't.
And why is that?
Because the world is my wife. There's too much to see, and I don't want anything interfering with that.
Have you had sex with women from other countries as well?
Well, I travel a lot, so yes. And I don't really like American women that much. So the girls that I date, if I date short term, they're usually not American. Because I live in New York, so there's a big variety of women that come in.
You don't like American women that well. Why not?
Oh, my God. Well, they talk too loud. They're arrogant. They don't listen to you. They don't really have respect. It's just like there's no class. I need a classy, feminine woman.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's a big turnoff when, especially the arrogance, when it comes from somebody who hasn't done anything. You know, all you've got is your looks, girl. There's nothing to be too proud of.
And then that disappear after 30.
Of course, yeah.
And so, of all the countries, how many countries you've gone to?
I've been to 26 countries in my lifetime.
So if someone twisted your arm and said, you have to marry a woman, which country at this point in life would you prefer to get a wife from?
I would pick a desert island. I seriously, it would, that would be my preferred. If I needed a woman to birth my child, It would be some girl who didn't grow up with the internet, grew up strictly religious with a strong father, and was like 17 years old.
So what?
That's what I want birthing my child.
So what caused most American women to become so disrespectful, so ego-driven, so out of control? What caused them to become that way?
Oh, God, you're asking me the big question of life. I blame it on the media, of course. I mean, it's gone crazy, especially in the past 15 years. With feminism just like totally controlling the media and telling them that like being at home and being like serving your man is some kind of bad thing.
Right.
They've totally gotten brainwashed. And plus women, they're very much like sheep. You know, they listen to the herd because they're very social. What matters is their reputation. So they're going to listen to whatever the media is telling them. And that's what they've been brainwashed with, man. It's been sick and scary.
Do you think that there's an organization called MGTOW, I believe?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of these guys, yeah.
You heard of them, and they've decided not to deal with women at all. Is that the right thing to do?
Oh, that's weak. I mean, that's like the coward's way out to me. Like, why would you not face your fears head on? Because you know they're scared of it.
Yeah.
Because they're like that's what I see with them, and I think they're cowards.
And so, if men were strong, would women have gone out of control in the manner that they have?
I don't think so.
So,
I mean, no. I definitely blame it on the men.
And what caused men to become so weak?
Jesus Christ, you're asking me a crazy question. I think that stems from the family. I don't know. I think fathers they really slacked.
Yeah.
They really slacked. You know, I had like kind of a strict father, like not so bad, but still I turned out all right.
Right.
And I think most of my development just came from observing my father. Like when I think back. So that had the biggest thing. And when I see fathers nowadays, there's a lot of absent fathers, which is really
Well, you can't curse on the radio, man.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
So let me ask, you've written a couple of books about seducing women. Is it moral to seduce women?
Is it moral?
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking the wrong person. I don't care about morals. I rejected that a long time ago.
Really?
I grew up very religious, and then when I turned my back, I decided not to look back.
So, and did you grow up a Christian?
Yeah, I grew up a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, well, no wonder.
Oh, When we're talking strict,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more than that.
I know several men and women who grew up Jehovah's Witness, and they just don't want anything to do with God or spirituality or morals or anything. Because why is that religion so strict like that?
Well, have you heard of the disfellowshipping process?
No.
Okay, so if you grow up a Jehovah's Witness, all right, so say all your friends and family that you knew were Jehovah's Witness,
Yes.
and then you decide when you think for yourself that you don't want it anymore, they disfellowship you, which means they cut you off completely. You're not allowed to even have a conversation with your family.
Really?
Like right now, the only way I can talk to my parents is if we have like a business relationship.
Wow.
No, they completely cut you off. It's called the disfellowshipping process. And that, when you talk about like where anger comes from,
Yes.
you're completely cast out. So I've gotten over the anger because I've done a lot of work on it, but it's still, just imagine that. Imagine being cut off from your friends and family that you grew up with, and you're completely shunned. So that's where the anger comes from.
At what age did you walk away from that religion and you were cut off from your family and friends?
Well, I got cut off for the first time when I was 19. But it wasn't my choice. I got cut off because of life decisions. I was doing drugs. I was having sex with girls. They cut you off. And then I decided to come back. But then when I was 21, I finally turned my back on them, and I got disfellowshipped the second time.
And how did that affect you mentally and emotionally?
Oh, God. Look at me now. I'm a loner in the world. I don't want to get married. This is where I am. So, I mean, I consider myself an outcast because of what happened. And that's how I'm living my life. And
you have new friends who are not a part of that religion?
Yeah. I don't know anybody because they're not allowed to talk to me.
Wow, man, that's so sad.
I think it's a good thing, man. It completely made me my own independent self. Nobody thinks like me. Nobody has the experience that I have. I'm embracing it. And it comes through in my writing.
And so as a result, you became a amoral person?
Yeah, I would definitely consider myself amoral. The only rule I have is as long as I don't hurt anybody else, I'll do whatever I want, even if it means breaking the law or whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
And so you don't believe in God anymore?
Oh, I definitely believe in God.
And so how does he feel about you becoming an amoral and living an amoral life?
He doesn't care. He's God.
So is this an extreme overreaction to what happened to you?
Oh, of course. I mean, look, most of my writing is about seduction, and the biggest thing about growing up a Jehovah's Witness, like sex, is that's the big bad thing you can't do.
Oh,
so that's why a lot of my writing revolves around sex, because it's the most interesting thing in the world to me, because I grew up with it being like, you do it, you're bad, you're going to hell, you're going to die.
What type of things do you say about sex in your writing?
What do I say? I don't really talk about the act of sex so much. Like I said, it's the act of seduction that I think is very interesting, because that's when you get in people's minds, and that's where they make the decision.
Is it easy to seduce people?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's easy to seduce women. That's why it's a skill. That's why it's so fascinating to write about.
Would you give me an example for a person who don't know how to seduce, for a man who don't know how to seduce a woman? What is the first step he should take? Oh,
God. I mean, my style is more of, I live in my own world, like I said, and I'm very, very good at bringing women into my world. So if you're able to weave a story, like I'm a very good storyteller, if you're able to weave a story that's very fantastical, and you can bring the woman into your little bubble, I call it a bubble. Right. Like weave some kind of story, like if you're talking about travel, if you're talking about where you want to go in the future, suck her into that world, and then she'll be with you. And then that's my first rule of seduction, is bring her into your world.
Are you able to seduce a woman without a camera?
Oh, yeah. I mean, most of my seduction is without the camera. Right. The camera's mostly for setting up dates. Oh, I got you. If I want to set up a date, I can just go out today in New York. I don't know if this is going to air today, the show?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to air today. If you want to watch me do it, I'll be out there in Times Square this afternoon, and there's a live camera. So I'm going to tweet this out. So if you follow me on Twitter at Goldman Unleash, I'll tweet this out around this afternoon. I'll be actually in Times Square with my camera meeting women to set up a date for this weekend or something. So you can actually watch it live.
Do you respect women?
I love women. I absolutely adore them.
If it wasn't for sex, would you have anything to do with women?
Yes, a lot of my roommates have been women, and we've gotten along very well, and they've added a lot to my life, even though we weren't having sex. It's just like I love their energy. They're feminine.
You, I read that you were part Indian, right?
Yeah, my father is a Native American.
And then growing up, you smoked. Is it called peyote?
Yes, peyote. It's a mushroom.
Peyote. So you used to smoke that. What's the difference between peyote and marijuana?
Oh I mean, they're not even close. Peyote, you can smoke marijuana and kind of be yourself and sit there and meditate. Peyote is going to take you on a wild, wild ride, a wild journey. It broke me down. I did it in the desert. I was there with some other Native Americans, but it totally broke me down from the inside out, where I became a part of the land. I was no more.
Really?
My ego was done. Everything was done. I was part of the landscape, and then I saw myself build again, which was the most interesting thing. So it's like every grain of sand in the desert was building me up again. So I was totally crushed. And then, I went into the universe. I've done a lot of psychedelics.
When you say you went to the universe, what do you mean by that?
My spirit ripped out. I was in the I would more call it the zeitgeist. I was in the realm of human thought. It was in the zeitgeist, like ripping through it, and I saw a lot of pain in the world, a lot of spiritual anguish. And I think a lot of it was coming from inside because I grew up very spiritual. Obviously, I broke off, but I saw that the world is in really bad pain, and they're looking for answers. And it's another reason why I write, because a lot of people respond to my writing because they look to me for answers. I don't claim to have them, but everybody's crying out for it. That's what I saw with peyote and ayahuasca. And
when you say it broke you down and build you, and then you build you back up, did it build you up? What does that mean exactly? How did it build you up again? How were you built up again?
Well, I became a part of the desert, so I was in every grain of sand, and then I saw myself being built up piece by piece. So it was like I died in bed, resurrected, basically. And then when I came through, when I was built up again, it was like being reborn. So it was like I saw with the eyes of a baby, I call it.
And so was this an illusion due to smoking the peyote?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
I mean, to me, it was 100% real.
Right.
I mean, it was real. But of course, it was an illusion. I wasn't really broken down to sand. Who knows?
So you smoked mushroom and all that stuff. I read that your grandfather told you to smoke that stuff. Is that true?
Yes, my grandfather, who is 100% Native American, because I was going through a real crisis when I was about 24 years old, and he suggested that in order to become a man, I had to do a ceremony. And so I went and did it, and that was part of becoming a man, was breaking down and, I mean, you go to war with yourself, so it's not fun. This is not, you don't do peyote or ayahuasca for fun at all.
Was it a mistake for him to do that, to introduce that to you?
Oh, no way. That was a huge turning point in my life. It was, yeah. And I think if we talk about masculinity, there's something about, what's the word I'm looking for? When boys had to go through like some kind of process to become a man?
Right, I've seen that.
Yeah, you know this, especially with the natives. You go on your spirit quest.
Right.
They take your teeth out, whatever. You do a painful process. We don't have that anymore. And for people like me, I need that. I need to be slapped into reality.
Amazing. So do you do any type of drugs now?
I do ayahuasca ceremonies. I try and do them once a year. But that involves going to Peru in the Amazon rainforest.
Your mother is a white lady?
My mother is 100% Sicilian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's from Sicily.
So let me ask, what is love?
What is... I don't know why you're asking me that. Love is being selfless. That's what I got.
How can people get your books?
I'd recommend if you want the ebook, go to my website, goldmundunleashed.com, where I have hundreds of articles that you can read through. It breaks down all synopsis of my books. But that one, Introduction to Camera Game, that was the one that got worldwide notoriety.
Okay.
A lot of people got angry at that book.
And why?
Oh, because they didn't actually read it. They thought it was, when they saw the cover and how to seduce women through photography, they automatically assumed that, I was a photographer who set up like model shoots and then seduced the models. Because this happened when the Harvey Weinstein, the Terry Richardson scandals happened a few months ago.
Yes.
So one of the biggest websites in the world about photography called Petapixel wrote an article about my book warning people that there's people like me out there. But they didn't read it. They misrepresented. Almost every country around the world had an article about my little book, which is hilarious.
That's amazing.
Oh, there's hundreds of reviews, angry reviews on Amazon. You can look them up. They're hilarious. They call it Guide to Rape. Like, if you buy this book, you're going to jail. It's probably one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me in my life.
Wow. And how did you deal with all that? When it first started to happen, what was your reaction to it? I
watched my book go from like number 400 to number 1 in Amazon.
Wow.
So that's what I did. I was sitting back laughing. I let it go for a few weeks, and now I use everybody's fake review and, all those articles for promotion.
Right. Very smart.
It's funny. It's really funny.
So what is a man?
What is a man? A man has a vision. All right, these are the men that I respect. I don't care what path you take. You take the religious path, even if you're an atheist, as long as you have a vision and I respect that. A man has a vision. That's a man to me.
So when your father and mother, and you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got some younger brothers.
When they all cut you off, were you surprised that your father and mother would cut you off?
No, I knew it. I grew up in the religion. So I knew it was coming.
And so while growing up, would they say to you, Edmund, if you ever leave this religion, we're not going to have anything to do with you?
I mean, the religion told me that. They didn't have to. I mean, disfellowshipping is a very real part of it. They use it to scare you a lot. So I knew it was coming. So it was like they didn't have to tell me.
What is it like to be cut off from your father?
Whew. What is it like? It's tough. But like I said, I had to make my own path. So it helped me in some ways. He's alive, but it's like he's dead to me because I can't talk to him.
And when
so it's tough. And like it's tough.
When you say tough, give me an example of what you mean by tough.
All right. So it's my father. So if I'm looking for guidance in life, I can't go to him. I got to go to somebody else.
Wow.
I'd rather go to him because he's my father. He's my blood. And I can't. It's like I said, it's like he's dead, but he's still there. It's hard, man. It's hard to put into words.
So you're bothered by it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Your grandfather, is he still living? The one that gave you the peyote?
Yeah.
Are you able to go to him?
He's a Jehovah's Witness as well.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't give me the peyote. He just suggested it.
Yeah, right. I remember.
It was like his last resort. He didn't want to. He was just like, all right. Because he knows native.
Right.
He knows we need to do this.
I got you. And so, which is easier for a human being, male or female, to be cut off from the father or from the mother?
Oh, I think it's easier to be cut off from the mother. Because in my family, they're very traditional. I grew up especially with the Italians. The mother raises you when you're young. Okay, but after like 10 years old, when you're a teenager, that's when when you're an adult, you go to the father. Like mother doesn't really matter anymore when you're grown.
Yeah. So Edmund, 2 quick questions, then we'll be done. When you are alone, you don't have your camera, no women are around, and you're feeling that deep void, emptiness down in the bottom of your soul, what do you do about that? Like something is missing down in there. What do you do in those moments?
I fill it up with my intellect. I mean, I'm very much into philosophy and psychology. I'm always reading. So I think you just brought up a very salient point because I haven't thought about it like that.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting here alone, I'm usually filling my mind up with philosophy.
Is it hard to sit through those alone moments, those when that emptiness, that void is apparent to you? Is it hard to sit through that without reading or doing anything, but allow yourself to go through it?
No, I like being alone. I like meditating, and I like going to nature, and that's where I love being alone.
Amazing. So if you were to call your father up right now, he wouldn't talk to you? That's the case? That's how bad it is? Unless you're talking about business?
Yeah, I mean, he would. I mean, there's a limit to it. Like I could call him up if it was like a life or death situation, he would talk to me.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be like I couldn't do it every day. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
So there's some lenience. I mean, it's not like we're still humans.
Right. I understand. And my final question, there is a movement happening right now with men. They're trying to return to their proper state of being. What would you encourage men to do today to return to that proper state of being and become a man again?
Like I said before, you need to have a vision. And like I suggest solitude. Like you just asked me about solitude,
Yeah.
Go meditate. I mean, nature has provided me with so many answers, just being alone out there, meditating and figuring out who you are as a person. Don't get all the other crap out of your mind and figure out what your values are.
You're 100% right. I've learned over the last 29 years, I've learned so much about myself and been able to overcome so much by spending time alone.
Amazing.
Yeah, that quiet time. And my final question, you say that life is an experiment. What do you mean by that?
Like, for me, it's an experiment. I got to know. I got to do things for myself. All right? I was the type of kid where mom told me not to touch the stove because it was hot. I had to put my hand in the fire to get burned.
That's right.
That's what I'm doing. That's my experiment. I'm here. If I'm making mistakes, fine. I'm going to write about it. People can learn. That's me.
Emma, it's an honor to meet you. You are a good man. I have been enriched by talking to you, meeting you and talking to you today.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
And give out your website again and other stuff.
GoldmundUnleashed.com. And follow me on Twitter, Goldmund Unleash. Find me there. I'm very responsive on Twitter.
God bless you, man. I hope to meet you in person one day and shake your hand.
Be fantastic.
All right. Have a good day. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Amazing. Really, really amazing, folks.